This is the Westinghouse iGen11000DFc inverter generator, and honestly the first thing that grabbed my attention was its look. Blue and black, with a really solid, almost automotive finish. Even before I plugged anything in, just seeing it up close made me feel like I was dealing with some serious equipment. It looks bulky, but put together in a way that says it's built to last, not just to impress. From my experience with generators, I've always been on the lookout for something that makes home backup easy, but can also hit the road when needed. This generator checked that box for me right away because it gives you options with dual fuel capability. For anyone new to that, it basically means you can choose between gasoline and propane. If you ever run into one of those power outages and the gas station lines are crazy, having the ability to just hook up a propane tank is a lifesaver. Plus, I know some folks prefer propane because it stores longer and runs a bit cleaner. I've switched between fuels, and both start the generator quickly without hassle. I remember my first impression was a little mixed because I couldn't help but compare the weight to other portable generators. At just over 187 pounds, it's not something you'll be tossing into the trunk by yourself. But with the big never-flat wheels and a solid foldable handle, I managed to wheel it around my driveway and into the backyard. It's doable even solo as long as you take your time. But if portability means picking it upstairs or loading into a truck bed frequently, you'll probably want another set of hands. This isn't a lightweight, but it's definitely portable when you need to move it. One of the key features that sold me right away is the remote start with the key fob. I know it sounds minor, but being able to start the generator from inside my house, especially during a downpour or bad weather, is just insane convenience. The push button on the panel is easy too. Starting it cold with both gas and propane has been smooth every time. For someone who's used to yanking on pull cords and all that frustration, this just feels like a real upgrade. Let's talk about noise, because that's a pretty big deal with generators. Westinghouse calls it a quiet inverter, and it really is, compared to the older, open-frame style machines I've tried. If you run this on economy mode, you get a noise level they say is around 64 dBA. For anyone wondering what that means, it's kind of like normal conversation level. So I can run this in the backyard and still chill with my family on the patio without yelling. I used it during a weekend camping trip, and nobody in the next RV spot complained, which I count as a win. Power is another area where this thing stands out. With 11,000 peak watts and 9,000 running watts on gasoline, you have plenty of juice to back up almost any major appliance at home. During a recent outage, I ran my fridge, some lights, Wi-Fi, and even got the central ASAC online for a while without noticing any dip in performance. If you switch to propane, you drop just a little, but you're still getting 10,000 peak and 8,000 running watts, which is enough for all the essentials and a bit more. I'm not an electrician, but the control panel makes it straightforward. The digital display is super helpful, showing your voltage, frequency, total hours, and fuel levels. For someone who likes to see what's happening without popping panels or guessing, that's a big plus. One thing I was a bit unsure about at first was the whole inverter concept. For folks who may not know, inverter technology means the electricity coming out is cleaner and more stable. If you're like me and stress out about plugging in phones, laptops, medical equipment, or anything sensitive, this generator keeps everything safe with low total harmonic distortion. Translation: your electronics won't get fried, and everything charges or runs just fine. I kind of expected the runtime to be a little shorter, but with a nearly 10-gallon tank, I burned through a whole day and night at 25% load without refueling. I got close to 17 hours using gasoline, what the company claims, and propane wasn't far behind. Realistically, for anyone running a few major appliances and lights, you could easily stretch power through an extended outage or a busy weekend away from home. The fuel gauge and meter take any guesswork out of refueling too. One feature I think is more important than people realize is the carbon monoxide CO sensor. I've heard too many stories about CO accidents with generators, and having one that automatically shuts down if the levels get too high gives real peace of mind, especially if you're running it in a garage with the doors open or around the edges of a patio. I had one instance where the generator did shut itself down unexpectedly. Turns out the wind changed direction and pushed the exhaust back toward the machine. It was inconvenient, but I'd rather have that safe shutoff than the alternative. Let's get real about maintenance. I appreciate when things are simple, and this generator comes with an easy-to-follow quick start guide and all the essential tools. The oil fill and checks are accessible, and changing the oil isn't a chore. The fact that you get an automatic low oil shutoff adds some backup, so you don't risk running it dry and damaging the engine. There's overload protection as well, which has kicked in once for me when my nephew plugged in one too many heaters. But recovery was as simple as resetting it and unplugging the extra load. I've had a couple moments of hesitation, mainly during the very first setup. I had to double-check the propane connection, and honestly, I called Westinghouse customer service for some quick help. They were responsive, and I got it sorted without too much headache. Once I'd been through the process once, everything else was just routine. As someone who uses this for both home backup and camping, I'll say it's not the most compact generator if you're only powering a couple of devices or just tailgating. But for running appliances, workshops, or backup power during storm season, it's perfect in my opinion. I'd recommend this for homeowners who want peace of mind, DIY folks with tools, and people who love the flexibility of going off the grid but don't want to compromise on what they can run. In conclusion, I feel like the Westinghouse iGen11000DFc inverter generator really hits a sweet spot between power, ease of use, and flexibility. While it's not the lightest around, and you might face a learning curve the first time you switch between fuels, the pros far outweigh the cons from my experience. The noise level is really manageable, you get genuine flexibility with fuel, and the clean power output means you can trust it with sensitive devices. Maintenance is simple, safety features are solid, and the control panel is user-friendly. For me, the convenience of remote start and long runtime make it a real standout compared to what I've owned before. If you're looking for a reliable, powerful backup or off-grid solution, especially for home or camping, this one is worth serious consideration. I will update specific information about the Westinghouse iGen11000DFc inverter generator in the comments. Don't forget to catch my next video.